if it's that bad in our country, how much worse it would be in other countries where sexual mutilation
Mutilation. Mutilation refers to some type of injury that basically alters the looks of something or partially destroys something. So a bullfighter can get mutilated by a bull, or someone can get mutilated in an accident, meaning they have a lot of scars, or in some cases, some objects can also get mutilated as well. Back in the olden days, they used to have these things called punch cards. And on the bottom of the punch cards, it said, "Do not fold, spindle, or mutilate," which basically meant not to hurt the punch card in any way. Or similarly, at some official document, like a driver's license or a passport, if the documents are altered, they're considered to be mutilated.
Do you think they still use this word in manuals or instructions, because it seems to be very graphical?
It is a little graphic, yeah. In some cases, I think it might still be used. For example, if it's some sort of tape recording device or some data device where if you do anything to it, you might ruin the data.
in some areas of the world, even though the Quran doesn't mandate it, and certainly the Bible doesn't.
Mandate means to demand something, generally from some government authority. It could be either demand that somebody do something or demand that somebody not do something. And with the federal government, a lot of the things that they do are mandates. For example, companies are mandated to provide health insurance to their employees, but usually it's something that they demand that you do. So they talk about government mandates, and they talk about companies and people complying with the mandates.
And it's almost impossible for a commanding officer to bring to justice a rapist, because it reflects adversely on his capability as a military commander.
Adversely means to affect something in a negative way. And typically it's an event. For example, you could say the rain adversely affected our picnic. Or the economy is adversely affected by unemployment.
So as an adjective, adverse, it means unfavorable or bad. You can talk about adverse conditions, either financial or, economic or weather, right?
That's
adverse
correct.
Condition.
You can also talk about adversity, where somebody has unfavorable circumstances. Generally, if they're poor, uneducated, it might be difficult for them to get a high-level job.
And when you drink a drink of water, a year later, that female guinea worm has developed into a worm about a yard, about 30 inches long. And it has excruciating pain, and it takes about 30 days to emerge.
Excruciating is pain that is very, very painful. Very, very painful or extreme. Almost impossible to even stand the pain. It's an old word. It comes from crucifixion. So they would say that crucifixion causes excruciating pain. You could have financial circumstances, could be excruciating difficulty if you have a project or a deadline.
So we just discussed adverse. We can talk about adverse conditions, and the next step up would be high intensity would be excruciating conditions.
Exactly. Yeah, you could say that winning the pennant is excruciating.
We hope that the hostages will be released from the militants' control very shortly and return to our country to freedom as quickly as possible. But unless the government of Iran is able to exert its authority, I don't have any doubt that some of the militants would like to hold the hostages indefinitely.
Exert means to apply energy or to apply authority to something outwardly. So, for example, the police exert their authority by arresting people who break any laws, or politicians and government, they exert their authority by demanding that people pay taxes and that people obey the law. Similarly, you can exert yourself when you're working or when you're exercising, and that just means to behave with a certain amount of energy. So you can talk about exertion, how difficult someone was, or a very common expression is don't exert yourself. It means you don't have to try.
Well, it means do not get to the point where you tire yourself out, right?
Or
Don't
where you get
exert
tired.
yourself.
Usually it's used ironically. If somebody says don't exert yourself, they're usually insulting the person who doesn't want to do something.
Yes, it's a condescending way of talking to someone. But if you say I exert myself while trying to accomplish something, it means almost like you put so much energy that you got to the point of fatigue, right?
Exactly.
And what else can you exert? You can exert a pressure. Let's say someone is bleeding and a wound is bleeding. A doctor would exert pressure to check the blood flow. You can exert
Power, exert authority, exert energy, exert pressure.
That's all for today. Tom Taylor is an ESL tutor. He teaches English in the United States and outside, all over the world using Skype. He can be reached at his website, which is
ESL-fullsteamahead.com.
click on this link and check out his website and email with questions. Thank you, Tom, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.